Good morning, everybody. Open houses of this weekend. We're doing this live every Friday around 10:30-ish. We start with the French version, and now you're seeing the English version. My name is Etienne and Mellor. I'm the owner of three real estate agencies across the Greater Montreal. I'm accompanied by my friend and business director of development,
How are you?
agency director, Mike Francois. Mike is a wealth of knowledge, and that's why he's here with me. We're going to talk today about, well, we're going to show you the open houses of this weekend, but there's some articles, and I want to take a minute to discuss this. I've seen, and you see in the media, some scary titles, some stuff that if you're an owner, if you're thinking of going into real estate,
Yeah.
could scare you, but you have to read the whole article. Now, I want to clarify that. So there was something in the on Global News. Where is it? I can't find it. Canadian spring market. I don't know where it is. I can't see it. Oh,
Well,
yeah.
the
Here it
Canada
is.
Spring
The
housing
headline.
market.
The headline is the spring housing market dead on arrival amid tariffs. Now, why would you go do that? Now, I'm going to give you the why, Mike. I know
Yeah.
you know the answer, but I
Yeah.
want to tell everybody what the why is. Mateo, is this normal that there's no red lights? There you go. We're back on. You were good. You see how I know what's going on. So the market is very strong and very good in the Montreal area, in the province of Quebec. When we talk about Canada, when we talk about these articles, it's for the whole country. So Toronto, Vancouver, Calgary, different story there. Why? Well, maybe I'll let you explain.
Well, first of all, the affordability. Montreal and the Greater Montreal is extreme affordability, and we're even attracting people from other provinces to invest here because it's cheap, relatively cheap
compared to
the other cities. And we're the second biggest city in Canada, which means that it's very attractive, for everyone to want to invest here. The lack of inventory. So now you've got people from everywhere wanting to buy here, including people that live here.
Lower interest rate.
We just got another 25 basis points that came out last week. So it's really ramping up everything over here as opposed to everywhere else.
Property value that have been going up for the last 25 years.
Steadily.
Not a drop in 25 years in Quebec for pretty much everywhere. When you think of house or property value. So you don't see that in Toronto, you don't see that in Vancouver, and you don't have that in Calgary either. And that's why these articles are scary, but they're mostly, and actually not mostly, they are for Toronto and the rest of Canada, but not here in the province of Quebec, and especially not in Montreal. So that's fantastic news. No,
it is.
There was another headline here, Mike. I can't find it.
About the recession?
About the Canada. Where is it? Canada could face a recession that would extend throughout the rest of the year as United States President Donald Trump's tariff war upends economies and trade around the world, according to the Desjardins Group. So, recession, what does that mean? That's a scary thing again. Now, is it going to happen? No one knows, not even them, but it could.
It could.
Right? Like anything's possible. The moon could hit the earth.
It could. So first of all, a lot of people got to understand what a recession is. So we're looking at 2 to 3 consecutive quarters where the GDP is in complete decline. So at the end of the day, what you have to look at is to say, how does this affect the real estate market and how would that change here in Montreal? Well, here we don't seem to be affected by it too much, to be very honest with you.
Okay, so if we go back historically, when there's these recessions, how long do they last? Well, they could last anywhere from 2 months, 6 months, all the way to 18 months was, I think, if I'm not mistaken, the longest back in the 80s. I'd have to check the actual data. But also, it also means that over the last 25 years, as I said before, the prices have not gone down. And we went through some micro recessions in the last 25 years. If we go back to 2020, there was a 2-month window of recession. So it's not the end of the world. It just means that we have to be careful. We have to plan ahead. We have to think. We have to read. We have to get educated. And this is the purpose of this show, is for you to not have to do all the reading and 25 years of real estate research, as we are doing for you. Just tune in every Wednesday and Fridays and get the news. And we're telling you the market is good. The market is strong.
The market is hot.
There's great opportunities if you're a buyer. Fantastic if you're a seller. The rates are down. Investors have the best of everything, because if there is a recession, there you go. Investors have. But still today, with the rate being what it is, price still steadily climbing. We were talking about a few weeks ago, February values or volume is up 28% year over year. That's fantastic.
Yeah.
And so the trend is on the up. Things are good. Don't get scared with these titles and articles.
Yeah.
That's just the media trying to get your attention. Let's start with our first 6 open houses of this weekend. We have properties across the Greater Montreal. We're gonna show you Notre-Dame-de-Grâce, Plateau, downtown Montreal, La Salle, and Westmount to start off with the Serge and Manon.
So Serge and Manon right now in NDG on Melrose Avenue, and then we have in the Plateau we have Benjamin Guillou on Park. Followed by Ville Marie. We got Lily Lee that's got 2 listings. Lily that's been doing really great.
Lily's got over 80 some listings.
96.
Go see her website.
96 listings.
What's the website, Mike? lilylee.com, lilylee.ca.
I think
Just
so.
Google Lily Lee and you'll see all the listings. Or even better than that, go to our website, mellorgroup.ca, where you get to see thousands of listings and over 200 real estate brokers.
She's really busy. She's actually growing her team as we speak. We have Camelia Fati also that's been doing really great herself. She has another open house here in La Salle for this weekend. And then we have in Westmount, Marie Van Paint and her team on Lansdowne.
Now, talk about the luxury property, talk about the luxury market. Marie Van and her team, accompanied by Samuel Demers. Fantastic properties. If you want to dream a bit, it's almost the weekend. You might as well. Go on their website, Marie Van Paint. So it's My Paint, M-Y paint.ca, and you will be blown away. I guarantee it. If you are not, please DM me and say, oh, well, I thought I'd see something much nicer than that. You won't. That's where the luxury lives. Oh, and a beautiful property they just listed in Beaconsfield on the water for $6 million. Ultra modern house. It's one of my favorites, I have to say. Just beautiful. Go check it out on mypaint.ca or on their social media platforms, whichever account you prefer. Yeah. Mike, let's go into what's the objective of an open house and why, if you're thinking of buying or selling, you should go and check out these open houses.
Well, look, on the open house side, it depends if you're a buyer or a seller. As a seller, it's going to give you a really good idea of what the pulse is in the area, what the price median is in the area.
Well, the activity level too.
Exactly. So, and if, maybe some houses have done some renos, maybe it'll give you an idea of what you need to do with yourself, moving forward.
Yeah, maybe your home doesn't have the nice kitchen and you see that the people walking in are like, oh, that's a beautiful kitchen. I really like the kitchen. It gives you a good pulse on the market.
Right. And on the buyer side, it's the opposite thing where you want to be able to have an idea of what's in the area, see how many people actually show up in the open houses. That'll also give you a pulse of, listen, am I in a situation where I'm going to be in a multiple offer situation? What am I looking at? See the values of what they've been sold at. Look at the area. What you see in pictures sometimes are not a full reflection of the area. Is there good schools in between? Is the house on a boulevard? Maybe there's a huge project on the side that's halfway done, which is going to mean there's going to be a lot of noise for the next 2 to 3 years. So,
and drive around the neighborhood after.
Exactly.
Go check out the neighborhood. Go down a few streets, west and east, north and south, and you'll get an idea for the neighborhood. As you said, Mike, that's a good idea.
If there's an abandoned home next to you, then, it might not be such a very appealing, so that's something for you to take a look at.
Now, remember, just a quick story. You show, I had a client, he was extremely interested in one property that he had seen online. And I kept saying, I don't know, based on our conversation of what you were looking for, without going into the details, I said, I wouldn't recommend this specific property in that neighborhood. And he kept saying and insisting that the price is great and it's got the features that we wanted. And long story short, I said, okay, well, in the end, let's go check it out. It was an open house. I made the appointment. We went, and then he realized it was close to a landfill. And, if you, depending on the winds, but if the winds are not in the right direction, it
won't feel good during a barbecue.
You could put the 1 + 1 together. It was not a good idea. And he, at that time, after that experience, he really realized that, okay, now I can trust you. I should have trusted you because now we wasted a bit of time doing that. But was it really a waste of time? Maybe not. It solidified that, working with a good broker is going to save you a lot of time and aggravation.
And I think also having a preliminary meeting with your broker and understanding exactly, what your wants are, what your fears are, where do you want to stay, where you don't want to stay, and have the broker ask you the proper questions to find out exactly and direct you in the right direction.
Well, that was my topic.
Yeah.
Why work with a broker? What are the main things that you should expect? I think you said it perfect, is that you want that first meeting to be a meeting where the broker is asking a lot of questions.
Yeah.
Because or else you're going to waste your time. The broker's not there just to book appointments, as you know, Mike. It's to ask the right questions so that we save time. You save on maybe thoughts of neighborhoods that won't match what you really want as a buyer. Example, you live or you think of living in a certain neighborhoods, but have you thought about, and the broker has to ask you, what about plans for kids? Do you have kids? Do you want kids? Do you want more kids? Do you want the school to be in the same neighborhood? Do you want to go to a private school, a public school? That's just on the kids side. Then it's, okay, what about appreciation of value? If that's super important for you and you know that you're only there for 5 years, well, what about a neighborhood where value goes up quicker than another value, a neighborhood where the value is still going up, but not at the same trend? 2 quick examples for you, but with the right question, with the right broker asking the right question, it's gonna make the experience much more pleasant, because it's not about just finding a property at all costs. It's finding the right property, and the right questions come with the right experience and the right environment.
And to add to that, sometimes people want to go in a specific neighborhood because everyone's moving there, but it's understanding why. Did you calculate maybe what's going to be your commute in the morning? Where do you work? What's the traffic like?
Can we talk about your situation, Mike? Because that's one that Mike is living every day. And I mean,
if you got to cross a bridge, sometimes, it might not be, as sweet as you thought it would. So you got to look at these things into perspective ahead of time. Of course, you can't predict sometimes when things are going to happen. But I mean, it's something you want to definitely look into.
Yeah, absolutely. So then when it comes to working with a broker, but you're thinking of selling, what are some of the things that the broker does? He doesn't just tell you how much he charges and how much your house is worth. There's way more work that's involved in that, and some of the stuff is looking at what.
Well, you got to start with the certificate of location, because a lot of times, depending how old the house is, people say, "Well, my certificate is 3 years old," but you made changes. You added a pool. You put a shed in the back.
But why would we need to do this kind of work? Looking at the certificate, asking for receipts, what was done, what was not done. Do you have the backup information? Why do we want to do all these things prior to putting the house on the market? And because it's going to come into play and it's going to save you time. What if you just put the house on the market without doing all of that? And it takes time to market it, right? You know that, those that have sold, it's not instantaneous like it used to be in the 2020 during the pandemic. Now there needs to be marketing. Then what happens? You get an offer, you negotiate this, it takes a while. You then have to do an inspection, get financing. Then they realize that there's problems with the house. You, as the seller, realize there's problems with the house. The broker that you hired realizes at that point that there's problems with the house. And now the whole deal falls apart, and you just wasted all this time.
Yeah.
It leaves a bad impression. You have a bad experience as a seller. So picking the right broker is critical for you to have a good, positive experience that lasts, not just for as you said earlier with the French version, not just during the negotiation and the transaction part, but 10 years after the transaction goes through.
And we've created actually a questionnaire, for you guys. If you're interested in knowing what do I need to ask a broker to find out if that's the right fit for me, contact us. We'll give you that absolutely for free so that you can use it to your own grade.
We also have a video, if you're interested, which falls into that questionnaire idea that showcases some of the stuff that we've done for previous owners. An example is the Brody Windsor Group that has the Home Buyer Advisory Club, which I think is a fantastic idea. And as far as I know, they're the only ones doing this in the province of Quebec. You got to go check that out. Follow us on social media. You'll see that video pop up from one of the members, Scott Brody, which explains what the Home Advisory Club is, which
it's an amazing initiative.
This is fantastic. Okay, so more properties on open house this weekend. Let's continue, Mike.
So we've got Baudinet and her team in Montreal on Avenue Marin. We have Team McGuigan in Westmount. And we have on the plateau Marie Van Paint and her team on Saint-Denis.
Just as an example, the Westmount property there. Westmount is one of those cities where appreciation just keeps on going and never kind of stops, right? It's one of those towns that The appreciation is much higher, quicker, steadier, with more certainty than some other boroughs or.
Why is that, you think?
Well, just the
proximity.
Well, there's the proximity. There's the history. There's the quality of life there. There's the people. It's a community.
Yeah.
And so these things are important to gauge. It's not just, oh, I want to be there. Well, what comes with that?
Yeah.
And that's where an experienced broker will come in and answer or facilitate that whole process. Again, why would you want to work with a broker is more than just making offers, establishing price, and the price of the broker, the commission. It goes where someone that's experienced will ask the right questions and think further down the road based on what you answer.
Yeah, you want to be accompanied by somebody who's going to be able to show you the way to where you need to go. Oftentimes you'll have some questions or you might be confused about certain things, and that person's going to be in a position to help you. And not only on the real estate side, but maybe even with their contacts and connections that they may have. Maybe you need to do some renovations. Maybe you need a good electrician. Maybe you need somebody to help you, getting financing and that kind of stuff. So being able to understand somebody that's well-rounded, that has the knowledge, that understands what they're doing is going to be very important with you moving forward.
Then comes the agency side of things, our end of the thing. The broker is surrounded by who? Who is this broker with or affiliated with? And what kind of partnership do they have?
What kind of backing do they have, in terms of being able to support them, especially if you get to a transaction that's difficult. Not every broker is in every same stage or has been in the same situation. Sometimes you might have a complicated transaction where the broker himself might be like, I'm not too sure. So being able to have people on the back end to be able to help you to facilitate the situation is very important.
We get these types of questions. Obviously, the brokers call us. We see this every day. So we know that there's multiple scenarios. There's many scenarios with it. It's gonna get complicated.
Yeah.
There's so many different potential outcomes when you're dealing with residential and or commercial real estate. It just it's something that you have to look into.
And just to make a parenthesis, don't get it twisted. We're learning too all the time, because sometimes there's these things that happen that I've never heard of ever, and then now I got to consult other people to even find out, how to deal with that. But at the end of the day, if the broker's well surrounded, then it's going to be easy peasy to get to where you're going.
Easy peasy, Mike said. And so with that, let's look at 4 more beautiful properties that are on open house this weekend. We've got a beautiful property in Saint-Lazare.
Saint-Lazare. So we have Saint-Lazare. We have Liliana Bergman on Westwood. In Dorval, we have Wi-Fi that has a beautiful property on Bouchard. And then we have the Brody Windsor Group that have 2 properties, one on Niagara in Kirkland, and the other one Beaconsfield on Rock Hill.
There's a little quick story here I want to share with you. Again, as a broker, back in, I think it was around 2006, 5 or 6, there was a lot of homeowners from the West Island moving to Saint-Lazare, Mike, because there was a lot of new construction. So the prices in the value on the island was going up. And so a lot of people thought, well, hey, let's move away from the West Island. Let's go to Saint-Lazare, get a brand new home. Now, there's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah.
But then what happened is that after that, in 2008 and 9, the market started to slow down. You remember the financial economy, the economic situation at the time, and then they had properties where the appreciation kind of stopped or lingered.
Yeah.
And then they wanted to come back, but now the prices on the island had gone up
quite significantly.
And then this was now also a challenge for the traveling. And you see it today again with Saint-Lazare in certain areas there. Vaudreuil is a good example. Extremely fast growing city, but then it kind of plateaued and stopped and then hits the bridge situation. So these things are sometimes, as you said, not easy to predict.
Yeah, they're not easy to predict, but I'll tell you what.
But let me say where I'm going with this is that when you look at historically, though, if you take a big enough, long enough, you go back long enough, like 25 years, 10 to 15 years, you see certain areas and neighborhoods where was the appreciation steady? Was it flat? At some point, did it decline? Yeah. And so that's important when you're dealing with the right
broker. In 2012, you could have bought a brand new townhouse in Saint-Lazare for $192,000. You could have bought that in Vaudreuil for about the same price, for $179, somewhere around there. Now, those same townhouses I'm talking about are trading for about 600K. So it gives you the idea. And now anybody that's coming into that city, now it's exploded. Now they've got a Costco, they've got a Walmart, they've got
But
everything.
you got to think again of the bridge. If you're working downtown and you got to hit that 1 hour crossing
an hour and a half
window,
or two during rush hour,
maybe the money you thought you were going to save,
you're spending it in gas.
You might, and time.
Yeah.
And if you like being in your car that long,
that's like
every
4
day.
hours in your car.
But maybe it would have been a better idea to just put 300,000-400,000 more here on the island or somewhere closer to your work.
Yeah.
And finance it at a lower rate or refinance, whatever. Like these things we can help you with making the right decision. So it's really critical that you be working with someone that you trust and know that they're competent. And the purpose of this show is to educate, share, help you do that kind of research. And we're happy to see you every Wednesday for new listings.
Yeah.
And Fridays, as we're doing today, for the open houses of the weekend across the Greater Montreal. I'm Etienne Mellor. I wish you a great weekend. And Mike,
I wish you a great weekend as well. Enjoy the open houses this weekend. It's a good idea.
We'll see you next week.